Let me ask you an uncomfortable question. If the power, internet, and supermarkets were to disappear tomorrow, would you know how to survive a week? 200 years ago, any ordinary person knew how to gather their own food, identify edible plants, keep a fire burning all night, transform animal hides into shelter, and even tell the time by looking at the shadow of a piece of wood on the ground. Today, most of us get lost when the Wi-Fi goes down. This is no exaggeration. These are early warning signs of a practical disconnection from physical reality. They are initial symptoms of an addiction that almost no one admits to. The body still knows. It sends signals when you exert real effort, when you get cold, when you spend hours without a screen. Small, silent symptoms appear when you try something manual and realize you lack coordination or stamina. Don't ignore these signals your body is giving you. They reveal that basic skills have been replaced by convenience. They are hidden symptoms of a highly informed generation, but one poorly trained in what is essential. And here's the provocative part. It's not that we're less intelligent than our ancestors. It's that we're less trained for physical reality. We've lost skills that were once universal. And the symptoms you shouldn't ignore are clear. Difficulty coping with discomfort, little practical autonomy, constant dependence on external systems. Today you'll discover skills that any ordinary person mastered 200 years ago and understand how to recover at least some of them. Because perhaps the problem isn't a lack of technology, but an excess of it. Swinging a giant razor to harvest your bread. Has he ever stopped to think that 200 years ago, earning one's own bread began with swinging a curved blade the size of an arm? The scythe wasn't a decorative symbol. It was a tool for survival. A miscalculated movement generated early warning signs: a cut on the leg, excessive tension in the shoulder, imbalance on uneven terrain. These were initial symptoms that something was wrong with posture. Don't ignore these bodily signals, because back then, a mistake could mean weeks without work. He understands that the body was trained to recognize silent symptoms before they turned into tragedy. Hands slipping on the handle, uneven breathing, anticipatory fatigue. These were hidden symptoms indicating it was time to stop. Don't ignore the signals your body is giving you when exhaustion sets in. Want to apply this today? Try real manual activities. Gardening, chopping wood safely, planting something. Observe your physical warning signs when performing repetitive strain. These are symptoms you shouldn't ignore because they reveal how much you've lost connection with functional strength. The curious thing is that agricultural work demanded rhythm, coordination, and full body awareness. Small, silent signs like misaligned posture could lead to chronic injuries. He realizes that harvesting one's own food taught discipline and constant attention. Today, food comes from the supermarket, but the body still sends the same signals as when subjected to real exertion. And when someone rediscovers this primitive skill, they begin to realize that surviving also meant knowing how to choose what could or could not be put on the plate. Playing dinner or death with wild plants. He imagines walking through a field and having to decide, is this dinner or is it poison? 200 years ago, identifying edible plants wasn't a survivalist's hobby, it was a daily necessity. A small mistake generated early warning signs in the body: an unusual bitter taste, burning in the mouth, slight dizziness. These were initial symptoms that could develop rapidly. Don't ignore these bodily signals, because in that context there wasn't a hospital within 10 minutes drive. He understands that ancestors learned by observing patterns, leaf texture, root shape, and time of year. Small, silent symptoms like mild nausea or itching after contact were hidden signs of toxicity. Don't ignore the signals your body is giving you when something seems too strange. Want to apply something today? Take a basic course in identifying plants from your region. Learn about at least 3 safe edible species. Observe the natural warning signs when dealing with something unknown. These are symptoms you shouldn't ignore because instinct and knowledge go hand in hand. The curious thing is that this dinner or death game trained memory, attention, and humility. Small, silent signs from nature were respected, not challenged. He realizes that the human body still reacts to strange foods with the same signals it did 2 centuries ago. The problem is that today almost no one knows how to interpret these warnings without panic. And when someone begins to recover this ability to read them, they realize that even fetching water could be a matter of life or death. Digging a well without creating your own grave. Can you imagine digging a well with your bare hands, knowing that a miscalculation could turn the hole into a deadly trap? 200 years ago, fetching water required strength, technique, and constant attention. The ground beginning to give way, unexpected dampness, lack of oxygen. These were early warning signs of real danger. Small initial symptoms like mild dizziness or shortness of breath were signals from the body that something was wrong down there. Don't ignore these warnings, because a landslide doesn't give you a second chance. He understands that digging wasn't just about excavating earth, it was about reading the environment. Small, silent symptoms, like cracks in the well walls or changes in soil texture, were hidden signs of instability. Don't ignore the signals your body is giving you when your breathing becomes labored in a confined space. Want to apply something practical today? Learn basic safety concepts in confined spaces and manual labor. Observe your warning signs when handling physical tasks that require structural attention. These are symptoms you shouldn't ignore because safety always begins with awareness. The curious thing is that this skill taught patience and planning. Each shovelful of earth required constant mental calculation. Small, silent signals indicated when it was time to reinforce the walls or go up for air. He realizes that fetching water was also a way to practice risk assessment. And when someone begins to see how much survival required continuous awareness, they understand that even something seemingly simple like putting out a fire could mean living or freezing the following night. Putting your fire to bed so you don't freeze. Did he ever consider that, 200 years ago, putting out a fire wasn't simply a matter of throwing water on it and going to sleep? It was almost a ritual. Keeping embers alive under ashes to rekindle them at dawn could be the difference between comfort and freezing. Small, early warning signs appeared when the wind changed, when the smoke descended instead of rising, when the wood crackled irregularly. These were early symptoms that the fire might get out of control. Don't ignore these bodily signals when the heat seems too strong or too weak. Balance was survival. He understood that fire was both an ally and a threat. Small, silent symptoms, like a different smell in the smoke or excessively white embers, were hidden signs that the combustion was unstable. Don't ignore the signals your body is giving you when the air feels heavy or your breathing is uncomfortable. Want something practical today? Learn basic principles of safe campfire building, even if it's just for camping. Pay attention to your warning signs when dealing with heat and ventilation. These are symptoms you shouldn't ignore, because fires start from small oversights. The curious thing is that putting the fire to sleep required mental discipline. Small, silent signals taught control and responsibility. He realizes that maintaining constant warmth throughout the night was strategy, not luck. The human body still reacts to cold with the same signals as the body did 2 centuries ago. Shivering, stiffness, fatigue. And when someone begins to understand the value of mastering natural elements, they realize that surviving also required transforming what was dead into living protection against winter. Turning a dead animal's skin into your coat. He imagines looking at a freshly hunted animal and knowing that it will provide his protection against the winter. It wasn't just meat, it was a coat, a blanket, boots. but transforming hide into shelter required technique and constant attention. An overly strong smell, the wrong texture, unusual stains were early warning signs of decomposition or contamination. These were initial symptoms that something could go wrong. Don't ignore these signals from the body, because working with organic material demands absolute respect. He understands that the leather tanning process involved cleaning, proper drying, and the use of natural substances like tannins. Small, silent symptoms, such as excessive stiffness or a persistent odor, were hidden signs of improper preparation. Don't ignore the signals your body is giving you when there's skin irritation or burning in your hands. Prevention always comes before haste. Want something applicable today? Learn the basics of preserving natural materials, even if it's just about proper food storage. Pay attention to your warning signs when handling organic matter. The curious thing is that this skill taught patience and transformation. What was once vulnerability became defense. Small, silent signs showed when the leather was ready or still needed treatment. He realizes that the human body still reacts to the cold with the same signals as ancestral bodies: shivering, muscle contraction, seeking shelter. And when someone understands that protection was literally built with their own hands, they begin to realize that even trees could be modified to produce better food. Frankensteining a tree for better fruit. Can you imagine someone 200 years ago cutting a branch from one tree and grafting it onto another to produce better fruit? It sounds like a laboratory experiment, but it was common practice in the field. Grafting required almost surgical precision. If the union didn't take, early warning signs appeared: wilting leaves, excessive sap leakage, discoloration at the cut point. These were initial symptoms that the fusion wasn't working. Don't ignore these signals from the plant's body, because nature responds quickly to mistakes. He understands that the technique involved aligning cambiums, protecting the area, and waiting patiently. Small, silent symptoms, such as irregular growth or weak budding, were hidden signs of genetic incompatibility. Don't ignore the signals your body is giving you when you try to speed up a natural process, whether in gardening or in life. Want something practical today? Learn the basics of grafting with a small fruit-bearing plant at home. Observe the warning signs in its development. These are symptoms you shouldn't ignore because they show how intervention requires responsibility. The curious thing is that modifying trees taught long-term vision. Small, silent signs indicated whether the next harvest would be better or a total failure. He realizes that ancient agriculture was applied science on a daily basis. The human body also responds to interventions with the same signals: adaptation or rejection. And when one begins to understand that even trees were manually edited, one realizes that transforming raw materials into something useful required another almost forgotten skill: transforming loose fibers into resistant fabric, spinning fluff into usable thread. He looks at a handful of raw cotton and thinks, this is just pocket cotton. But 200 years ago, that was future fabric, clothing, shelter. Transforming loose fibers into yarn required fine hand coordination and constant attention. If the tension was wrong, early warning signs appeared: thread breaking, uneven twist, excessively rough texture. These were initial symptoms that something needed adjusting. Don't ignore these body signals, because the fingers were the true measuring instrument. He understood that spinning was almost active meditation. Small, silent symptoms, like mild wrist pain or numbness in the fingers, were hidden symptoms of incorrect posture or excessive repetition. Don't ignore the signals your body is giving you when manual effort starts to strain you too much. Want something practical today? Try simple manual activities like knitting, crocheting, or even tying ropes with different knots. Observe your warning signs when trying to maintain a steady pace. These are symptoms you shouldn't ignore because they reveal how much we depend on fine motor skills that we hardly train anymore. The curious thing is that each thread carried time and patience. Small, silent signs showed when the twist was perfect and strong. He realizes that transforming something fragile into something useful required absolute focus. The human body still responds to manual labor with the same signals as the body of centuries ago: fatigue, adaptation, strengthening. And when someone rediscovers the art of creating with their hands, they begin to understand that even measuring time could be done simply by observing the sky and the shadow projected on the ground. Interpreting shadows, cast by a stick in the ground. He looks at a simple piece of wood stuck in the ground and thinks, is that all? 200 years ago, that was a clock, a compass, and a calendar all at once. The position of the shadow indicated the approximate time, direction, and even the change of season. Small early warning signs appeared when the shadow shortened too much or moved further than expected. These were early symptoms that the sun was at its highest point or that the day was advancing too quickly. Don't ignore these signals from the body of the environment. The sky always speaks. He understands that observing shadows requires consistency and memory. Small, silent symptoms, like minimal variation in the angle of light, were hidden signs of seasonal change. Don't ignore the signals your body is giving you when you lose track of time without technology. Want something practical today? Plant an object in the ground on a sunny day and mark the position of its shadow every hour. Observe the natural warning signs of the sun's movement. These are symptoms you shouldn't ignore because they show you can still read the world without a screen. The curious thing is that this ability connected humankind to the rhythm of the planet. Small, silent signals from the environment determined when to plant, harvest, travel, or rest. He realizes that the human body still responds to light with the same signals as our ancestral bodies: sleep, alertness, energy. But today, almost no one pays attention. And when someone begins to rediscover these lost abilities, they understand that they haven't lost the capacity. They've simply stopped practicing. Now let me ask you something, looking straight at you. After all this, do you still believe we've evolved in every area? Notice that the point was never to romanticize the past. It was to reveal something deeper. Our ancestors weren't superhuman. They simply trained what we ignore today. And the body still sends the same early warning signals when we face cold, physical exertion, discomfort, or silence. Small initial symptoms appear when we try something manual and perceive the difficulty. These are signs from the body showing that the ability hasn't disappeared. It's just dormant. Perhaps you felt this while watching. A slight unease, a mixture of curiosity and restlessness. These are silent symptoms of awakening consciousness. Don't ignore the signals your body is giving you when you realize you're relying too much on external systems. They are hidden signs that you can, and perhaps need to, reclaim practical autonomy. And here's the most powerful thing. You don't need to go back 200 years in time. Just start small. Learn something manual. Test your endurance. Pay attention to your body's warning signs when faced with mild discomfort. These are symptoms you shouldn't ignore because they indicate real growth. Practical skill builds quiet confidence. If this video made you think differently, then it served its purpose. And if you want to continue discovering forgotten skills, uncomfortable truths, and knowledge that almost no one teaches, subscribe to the channel now and turn on notifications, because the next videos will delve even deeper into this journey of reconnecting with real human capabilities. Now tell me in the comments, which of these skills would you most like to regain?